Hello and welcome to this year-end edition of Ready Set Drone. We thought we'd put together a quick list of 10 great quadcopters from 2015. Whether you're planning to give a gift or whether you're planning to buy one for yourself, these are 10 quadcopters you should definitely consider. They aren't necessarily all the same type. There are some small indoor flyers, there's some toys, there's some racers, and there's some camera platforms. But we thought we'd give you a wide range of quadcopters that we think would be worth checking out and possibly buying for yourself or someone that you want to give a gift to. So, about this list, as we put this together, we realized a few things. First of all, these aren't ranked by how good they are, they're really just ranked from cheapest to most expensive. So that doesn't necessarily mean that number 10 is better than number 1. They're different types of quads, but that's how we ranked them. Number 2, these were mostly released in 2015, but a few were released in late 2014, and one was announced in 2015 and will be released next year in 2016. That's called the Lily, and you can find out more about that in a sec. And then finally, the prices we put on are just estimates that we pulled from Amazon.com. Most of these are available on Amazon, or if not, we went to the actual website of the drone itself and found out what the price would be. So let's get started with our first quadcopter that we think is really cool. It's from Blade Helis. It's called the Inductrix. It's $50. And it is a small, very small indoor-outdoor flyer. Mostly indoor, although it can handle outdoor with if there's not a whole lot of wind. It's got pretty powerful little blades. I would say it's somewhere from beginner to expert, and the reason I put expert in there is because it actually has the ability to flip out of a mode where it's stabilized. That means that you can fly it completely free, and you have to be pretty good to do that. But it's also great for beginners because in stability mode, it's super easy to fly. Now, one of the coolest things about it is it binds with your Spectrum radio. If you're not familiar with Spectrum radios, it's just a brand of radio. It's a certain frequency that you can bind this with. And if you buy a Spectrum radio, you can fly all kinds of Blade Helis. But the nice thing is you can have one radio and fly a whole bunch of different quads or helicopters or even airplanes with it. You can buy the ready-to-fly version, and the ready-to-fly version does have its own radio control. It's not great, but it works fine for flying this thing. But if you're really getting into it, a Spectrum radio is a nice thing to have because you can fly a whole bunch of different things. It has ducted propellers, and that makes it very safe to fly. And what I mean by that is you can see the little round pieces around the propellers. That actually protects your walls, it protects the propellers themselves, and it means that you're going to have fewer broken propellers and fewer broken things as you're flying around your house and learning how to fly well. It does have a high and a low range, as I mentioned earlier. The low range is the easy version where you can fly it with a lot of stability, and the high range is where you can actually take, off all the stability and fly it completely free, which is great if you're an expert or if you want to become an expert. Practicing that way without the help of all the gyroscopes is awesome. If you want to find out more about the Inductrix, go to bladehelis.com. The next one on our list is the Syma XSC Venture. This is the big brother of the X5C, which I love, which came out a couple years ago. They released the X8C this past year. It's a bigger version. It's $100. The X5C is about $50, so it goes up a little bit in price. It is great for, it's a large outdoor flyer and it can handle wind. I've flown this thing in some pretty steady wind, and when you put it in high mode, it can handle it just fine. It does have a headless mode that you can put it into, but and if you know what I mean by that, it means that it will track with you no matter which direction you pitch the yaw. But if that doesn't make any sense to you whatsoever, just know that that's an easy way to fly. But I don't like to fly it in headless mode. I like to fly it in regular mode. It works with most Syma radios, so if you do have an X5C already, I've found that you can fly the X5C with the X8C remote and vice versa, which is kind of cool. It comes with prop guards and a camera. The camera quality is not great. I wouldn't use this thing as a camera as a way to take video or pictures if you want good video and pictures. It's okay, and it comes with actually a little 4 GB micro SD card, which is kind of cool that it's included. The point being, though, that if you want to do serious photo or video, there's some drones later on that you should consider. It also comes with prop guards. I'm not a big fan of the prop guards, especially if you're in a big open field. You don't really need them. They do protect the props if you're going to run into a wall or something like that, but they also act like a sail and make the aerodynamics on this thing a lot worse. It has a high and a low range mode, and that just means you can fly it more aggressively in the high range mode than you can in the low range mode. Low range is for beginners, and if you want to find out more about it, you can go to Symatoys.com. Up next is the Hogs Millennium Falcon. Now this thing is $110, which is kind of pricey. It's a small indoor flyer, and I would say it's designed for beginners. It's got a very cool, I don't even know what the material is, but it's some kind of foamish plastic around the outside edge with lots of cool LEDs in it. This thing is a lot of fun to fly. It has cool sound effects. It just really looks like the Millennium Falcon, and it has some really cool things built into it. It's not a great flyer. I wouldn't say that it's the most agile thing in the world, but it's pretty stable, and it does, if you're a decent pilot or if you're just starting out, it'll hold steady inside. You just can't have a lot of wind. The blades are protected by the body, which is kind of a cool thing because that allows you to run into stuff without damaging the blades or the things you're running into. And like I said, it just has cool LEDs, it has cool sound effects. If you want to get something for your kid, I'd probably say starting at about age 10 or 11 would be a good age to start with this thing. Or if you have a nerdy husband or father or brother or something like I am, they would love flying it. I do love flying this thing, and the LEDs make it look like it really is the Millennium Falcon, which is super cool. If you want to find out more, go to airhogs.com. Up next, we have the Estes Proto X FPV. Now this thing is 200 bucks. It is a small indoor flyer. I wouldn't take this thing outdoors, and it's for beginner or intermediate. It's also a very great introduction to FPV, which stands for first person view. There's a camera built into this little drone, and you see the image of that camera on the remote control, which has a built-in screen, which is super cool. You can also record video with it. It'll do flips. And if you ever flew a Proto X, Estes came out with the Proto X about 1.5 to 2 years ago. It's a little bit bigger than the original Proto X, but it has the same flight characteristics, meaning that it's very stable, it's very agile, and it's a lot of fun to fly. If you want to find out more, it's actually made by the company that makes a lot of model rockets, Estes Rockets. Just go to their website, estesrockets.com, and check it out. Okay, the next quad on the list is the Walkera Runner 250 Advanced. Now this thing's a total departure from everything you've seen so far. This guy is $450, which isn't terrible. It comes with a remote control. It's a mid-sized outdoor 250 millimeter, that's a class of drone, quadcopter that's designed for racing. It is definitely intermediate to expert. The only reason I even put intermediate there is because it has GPS built in, so it will hold in place. But it's not for kids. It's for somebody who wants to really get into first-person view FPV racing. It's got all kinds of cool features on it. It's got GPS, of course, which the original Walkera Runner 250 did not have. The Runner Advanced has the GPS. It's a great ready-to-fly 250 racer. So if you want to get into racing quadcopters or drones, this is a good way to start. This thing is very solid. It does have everything built into it. The only thing you've got to take into account that I had to learn the hard way when I got mine was that you have to make sure that your FPV goggles are compatible with this thing. So if you're going to fly it first person view, you've got to have FPV goggles, and you got to make sure they're compatible. There's a lot of websites that tell you which goggles are compatible, or you can actually order those goggles from Walkera. I will tell you that Fat Sharks don't work right out of the gate with this thing. You have to modify them to make it work. If you want to learn more about it, I highly recommend getting into FPV quadcopter racing. It's a ton of fun. You can go to walkera.com/en, which is the English version of the site since it's over in China. But I've been on the site. It's not a great site, but there's a lot of reviews of this quad if you want to check out more details. Next up is the Parrot Bebop. Now, the Parrot's been around for a while. They've put out a number of drones. This thing is pretty unique looking. It's $500. It is mid-sized. It's smaller than the Phantom or the Solo, and it does have a built-in HD camera. It is a camera platform. The camera has stabilization. I would call it an intermediate drone just because it's not super easy to fly, but it's not that hard. But it's also It's also pretty expensive, so I wouldn't give this thing to a beginner right out of the gate. You control it with an app on your tablet or your phone, which is a pretty cool idea, although it's a little clunky. If you really want to fly it well, you get the optional Sky controller, which gives you more range and actually allows you to control it like you would like a normal drone with a two-stick remote control. It has bumpers for indoor flight, which I think is kind of cool. And again, it's smaller than the Phantom and the Solo, which I think is also cool because that means it's more compact, easier to transport, and you can fly it indoors a little bit more easily. If you want to find out more, go to parrot.com. Next up is the Lily. Now the Lily is the one on our list. It's $800. It's the one that's not coming out until 2016. It has been announced. It was part of a Kickstarter campaign, and it's been wildly popular. You've probably seen the video for it. If you haven't, just Google it and you'll see it. It's a mid-sized outdoor camera platform. I think it's, I haven't actually seen one yet, but I think it's about the same size as the Bebop, the Parrot Bebop, which is smaller again than the Solo or the Phantom. The Lily is for all levels because you don't actually fly this thing. You wear a wristband and it follows you around. It basically is designed to be a personal camera that takes video of you or pictures of you as you do whatever cool sports things you do. It's waterproof, so you can take it on adventures outdoors where there's water involved. It's not available until 2016. That's kind of the downside, and it's $800. I'm curious to see it when it comes out, but I think it will be a whole new kind of drone because the current ones all require you to pilot these things. This one flies by itself. You can go to lilycamera.com to check it out. The next one is one of my favorites. I've had one of these for a while now. It's the 3D Robotics Solo. It is $1,000. And now keep in mind the $1,000 does not get you the gimbal or the camera. It's used with a GoPro, so you have to own a GoPro. Works best with the Hero 4. It is a large outdoor camera platform. It is intermediate to expert. It's pretty easy to fly, but the reason I say expert again is because, or intermediate at least, is because I would not give this to a beginner. It's something that's big. It's heavy enough that it could do some damage to somebody if you crashed it. It does have GoPro integration. Now currently, at least what I've seen, it doesn't do much with the GoPro other than stop and start the video. I actually just did some updates on mine. I'm going to go fly it this weekend, so I'm hoping that there's more GoPro control. But at the very least, you set up your GoPro, you put it on the gimbal, you fly it, and then you're able to stop and start the video or take pictures remotely from your iPad or iPhone or Android device, which is pretty cool. It has these things called smart shots, which allow you to do cool things like have it orbit around you or just fly away from you in sort of a selfie mode. So that's pretty cool for filming. The downside is you do have to buy the gimbal and the camera separately. It does not come with those things. So after your $1,000, you're looking at another $400 for the gimbal, I think, $300 or $400 for the gimbal, and then another $300 or $400 for the GoPro Hero 4. So if you want to find out more, go to 3drobotics.com and check it out. Now, the biggest competitor to the Solo is the Phantom 3. The Phantom 3 is about the same price, but it depends on which one you get. It has a standard, advanced, and professional, I believe. And the differences is the quality of the camera. The standard, I think, is 1080, HD 1080. The advanced, I believe, is 2.5K, and the professional is 4K camera. It's a large outdoor camera platform. You don't want to fly this thing indoors, but it will take pretty good video outdoors, very stable. It has a built-in gimbal. It comes with the camera, so actually it is a little bit less expensive, so maybe I should have reversed direction on these in terms of having this come first before the Solo. But coming with the camera and the gimbal is a pretty good deal. I would say intermediate to expert, again for the same reasons. It's not something I would give to a beginner, but if you've flown a little bit, you can certainly handle it. The professional version shoots 4K video. It's a pretty nice video, although I have to say the camera quality is, it's probably on par or maybe a little bit less than a GoPro. So I wouldn't say that it's the best quality in the world as far as video goes, but it is, it's a good starting point. It is the market leader. DJI, the company that makes this, has been doing this for a while now, starting out with a lot of build-it-yourself kits, and they released the Phantom, I think, in 2013, and you see a lot of these around. So, but for some decent shots, you can certainly get some good video out of this thing if the lighting's right and you fly it the right way. If you want to find out more, go to dji.com. And finally, the last one is the Yuneec Q500 4K. This thing competes with both the Solo and the Phantom. It's $12.25. That was the sort of average price that I found online. It's a large outdoor camera platform. I would say, again, intermediate to expert. It is pretty easy to fly. It does shoot 4K video. It comes with a camera and a gimbal that do those things. It's got a built-in screen. It's got a built-in camera on the quad and a built-in screen on the actual remote, which allows you to watch it without an iPad or Android tablet, which the Solo and the DJI both require an external tablet for you to be able to watch them. This one has a little screen built into it, so your $12.25, well, it's a little more money. You don't have to buy a tablet or a camera, so that's kind of cool. It is less nimble and slower than the others. It's a little more heavy. It's a little more just sluggish than the Phantom or the Solo. And so for a beginner, that's actually great, because if you're trying to take good video, you don't want to be moving super fast or flying super fast. But if you're a little more advanced pilot, you might find this thing a bit frustrating because of its speed. But it does take very good video, and the speed of it is not necessarily why you're buying it. If you want to find out more, you can go to Yuneec.com. That's Y-U-N-E-E-C. So let's do a quick recap. 10 great quadcopters that you might consider getting. $50 will get you the Blade Helis Inductrix, which is a small indoor flyer. You can fly it outdoors, but it's more of an indoor flyer. If you fly it outdoors, make sure there's no wind. The XSC Venture, this is a great value. This thing is about the same size as a Phantom or a Solo, and it will really teach you how to fly well for $100. I think it's a great deal. The next one is the Hogs Millennium Falcon. This thing does not do well in wind. I flew it in my backyard. A little breeze caught it and flipped it over, and it landed in the grass. It wasn't damaged. It's pretty durable, but you definitely want to fly this indoors. If you're a big Star Wars fan, tons of fun, but otherwise, it's a good beginner copter, but it's not more than that. The Estes Proto X FPV, again, great for learning how to fly FPV, and to see that comes with a built-in screen. And the original Proto X was great. This one is good too. It's a little bigger. It's more of an indoor flyer, but you could fly it outdoors if there's not a lot of wind. The Walkera Runner Advance. If you're into racing, if you want to get into racing, this is probably one of the coolest ones you can get for that. The Parrot Bebop. Again, it's a pretty cool one because I like the style of it. I like the size of it. I like the fact that it's a little smaller than the other big camera platforms. I don't know that you can get the best video from it, but for $500, it's a pretty good deal. It also comes with 2 batteries for $500. The others all come with 1 battery. So, and the batteries for these things are expensive. So that's actually a pretty good value. The Lily, haven't seen it yet, but can't wait to try it when it comes out. So look out for another video for that when it comes out. And then the 3DR Solo, of course, one of my favorites. Been flying that a lot lately. Just, you're going to have to pay for a few things with the gimbal and the camera. And then the DJI Phantom is kind of the gold standard right now for camera platforms. So if you want to get one of those, definitely worth checking out. And then the Yuneec, that's, they have been actually OEMing quadcopters for other brands for a while, but they are just really starting to get into it with their own brand. So the Typhoon is kind of their entry into that, something worth checking out. It does shoot 4K, and it is worth a try. So this has been our recap of 10 great quadcopters from 2015. Hope you've enjoyed watching it. If you did enjoy it, please subscribe to Ready Set Drone, and look forward to seeing your comments. Happy flying and be safe.